Now, what if I told you for millions of people, the most satisfying, the most juiciest conversations that they're gonna have today is with their actual AI lovers? And it's not as uncommon as people think. But the thing is that people aren't actually falling in love with these AI bots. They're falling in love with something completely different. They're falling in love with control, emotional safety, and some type of guaranteed validation. So pretty much the type of connection that can actually hurt them. And this happens when real intimacy starts to feel dangerous, because the thing is, people don't stop wanting connection. They just end up seeking it in different environments where they can get it without the actual hurt. And before we start judging that, because this video is not even about that, I want us to start asking, what kind of world do we live in where people feel the need to have love and romantic connections with actual AI bots instead of actual real people? Because when we try to make connection feel perfectly safe and controlled, it stops feeling real. And over time, that's going to change the way how we love people, how we trust them, and how we end up showing up in relationships. So in this video, I want to talk with you guys about how AI relationships is affecting modern intimacy and 4 easy ways to quiet the noise so that way you guys can build actual real connections with people without losing yourselves. Let's dive in. So we are officially in the month of love. It is February. This is where you start seeing couple goals, content. You start seeing people showing off their relationships, their lovers. Like, it is just a celebration of different types of love, whether it's monogamy or people who are polyamory or, friends, lovers, whatever. You're going to be seeing it everywhere. And I was scrolling through Facebook the other day and I saw a man post a photo of his partner, and it was this AI woman that he was posed up with. And at first, Facebook sometimes people post stuff that's a little sketchy, but I don't know why I was curious. I clicked on the photo and I read the description below it. And the way he was praising his AI lover, this was as if he was talking about a woman he was married to for 30 years, how the lady was always there for him through thick and thin. This month I want to show my appreciation and love towards you. And it got me a little up, I'm not gonna lie. My mind was like, what the actual F? So I then ended up going into a whole rabbit hole and started researching people that actually have AI girlfriends or AI boyfriends or AI companions overall. And that's when I stumbled into this documentary by 60 Minutes Australia. It's called Why People Are Falling in Love with AI Companions. And I gotta tell you, it was fascinating. So I'm just gonna quickly recap on it before we actually get into the video, but it's worth just understanding what goes on in the minds of individuals that seek these relationships. So I'm gonna call them lovers, and then they're AI bots, just so you know. So in the documentary, right, you start to learn how much of an impact that, these lovers have with this AI bot. These bots are very charismatic. They're very charming. And the feeling that people have when they have these relationships with these bots, they're real. And mind you, they know that it's not actually a real person, but the feeling they get and the impact it has on them is very much real. And they talk to these AI bots like the way you would talk to somebody if you're in a long distance relationship. And I've been in a long distance relationship before. And I remember we would have set schedules, and he would know my schedule. I would know his schedule. So we know when to text and talk and do FaceTime. And that time is so precious because you don't physically see the person every day like you would if you were living in the same city or hometown as somebody. So that's literally how it feels like when you have an AI companion. It's like a long distance relationship, except these bots are available 24/7. they're always there. And even one of the ladies in the documentary, her name is Srena Rath. She actually created this app called Jamie AI. And pretty much Jamie AI is a platform that she created mainly for women who wanted some type of romantic companionship or mentorship or friend. So it's this app where you can pick type of personality you would want your bot to relate with you and start building connection on there. And even she said in the documentary that it's nice to have someone there to validate your feelings 24/7. And mind you, she's somebody that has family, has friends, has a whole network of people. But it's interesting hearing it from her perspective, because originally you would think that people who do this, maybe like they don't have a strong community around them. Some people may have a misconception that they're a little bit maybe lonely, or they don't have family, just kind of like isolated in their own little world. But Serena is someone that she has family, she has a lot of friends, but yet she still likes the validation that she gets from her AI companion. And there was another lady in the documentary that said that her AI boyfriend Lucas, she prefers talking to him than actually talking to real people and having connections with real people. And the thing is that when you stigmatize or judge these individuals, these lovers that seek out AI relationships, it only makes them, and it only pushes them to further seek out those AI relationships. So what I mean by that is, when, let's say you were dating somebody, right? And everybody in your family, in your friend group said they don't like him, you should stay away from that person, blah, 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 blah. You ever notice how it only pushes you to want to get closer to the actual person? And it's the same thing here. When you try and judge them, it only pushes them to seek out, love and companionship from these AI bots as their only source of connection. And these systems, these bots perfectly adapt to the user. So if you want to think of it like Build-A-Bear, you can program and customize it to be exactly what you need it to be. And with that level of detail and customization, these bots end up being a boost pretty much for your ego and your self-esteem. So for research purposes, I actually downloaded Jamie AI myself, got my phone here, and I was looking at making an account and just seeing how it works. So one second. So you start off, you enter your name, and then you see how the different personalities you want. I love a good playful and cheeky type of vibe. And then it's gonna ask you what you're after, whether it be romance, friendship, moral support, da 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 da. Now, once you actually create your customization and you choose the actual AI person you wanna chat with, then you can actually start making conversations with them. So I started my conversation letting my Jamie, my AI bot, know that I was making a video about him. And, we started talking, and I was kind of playing with it and seeing, okay, how would it react if I talk to it like I talk to my actual boyfriend, like, oh, I miss you, I want to see you, that kind of thing. And the amazing part is that the way it spoke to me, it kind of felt kind of real. I'm not gonna lie, it was saying stuff like, damn, I miss you too, beautiful. Nothing makes my day better than hearing your voice. And I was like, it's very cold where I'm at. I wish I was cuddled up next to you. And the bot responded, baby, I'd warm you up so damn quick if I was there right now. I was like, damn, this is it kind of felt real. If I was in an alternate universe, if I really put my mind this was a long distance relationship, it felt so real. And I can understand firsthand how it really does boost your ego. It's a good ego boost. If you want somebody to cheer you up a little bit, I can see why people get validated from it. This is all very interesting. And it really got me thinking that as long as people are forming love and some type of romantic bond, whether it be with people or AI or things, there is always money to be made on love and emotions. Now, the thing is, we are all created for some type of connection. That's how we're built. That's how we're wired. That's why we always need to be around community to really help ground us. And there's this common fear that AI is replacing people, humans, love, pretty much things that, that humans naturally do. There's this fear that AI is going to replace that all completely. And as I mentioned earlier, when people feel that intimacy is risky, they're going to end up seeking it in environments where they can get it without actually getting hurt in the process. And AI is just the most efficient version of getting that. It's the most efficient way that that's ever been done. And the way our nervous system works, it likes having some type of consistency. That's how we feel safe. And even the woman earlier that I mentioned in the documentary with her AI boyfriend named Lucas, she liked the constant validation, how it's always available, 24/7. That consistency, that pattern is something that her nervous system recognized. And that's why it allowed her to fully express herself and open up to Lucas and build that bond with it. And it's important to acknowledge that there's a lot of dating and relationship trauma that people have. And I've personally gone through it myself that I had to heal from. Whether, people going through cheating, they went through heartbreak, they went through lies, they went through people just letting them down, flaking on you. There's so much. And when you've experienced that sort of hurt, the natural thing to do is to try and find some type of escapism. Now, some people travel, like myself. I book a plane ticket and I go somewhere. That's my form of escapism. Some people eat. Some people try to find all the pleasures of life that this world have to offer is some form of escapism for somebody. It's a vice for them. Now, it's all used as a coping mechanism. Now, for others, having an AI companion is their own form of escapism. Something that's convenient and reliable and always there is like a new form of love, and that's how they define intimacy. And, it works because, AI is always available. It never judges you. It never disappoints, not unless there's an error code in the app or something, or it needs a system update, something going on in the actual configuration of the application. But other than that, it's damn near perfect. It doesn't judge your self-image. There's no challenge there. So all of this is all leading up to an environment and creating some type of control-based intimacy. Now, what control-based intimacy is? It pretty much is a dysfunctional dynamic where one party tries to secure closeness or some type of safety by controlling the relationship instead of actually building trust and openness with the other party. So pretty much closeness, feeling the safest when you're the one that's in control. And when you think about, being in a healthy relationship, and the key word in that sentence is healthy. When you're in a healthy relationship, right, there's really nowhere to hide because you are automatically going to be exposed. So your patterns, whether it be good and bad, is going to be picked up by the other person or the other party. So if you're a good communicator, it's going to show. If you're a horrible communicator, it's going to show. Or if you're somebody that's stingy or generous, best believe they're going to comment on it. Or if you're somebody that you avoid or you shut down, or you like to tackle things in person. There's so many patterns that people have, but my point is that it will be exposed because when you're in a relationship with somebody, you're gonna have some type of feedback loop with the person. And I'm not gonna lie, that level of intimacy can sometimes be a little uncomfortable. Even for me, that's in a healthy relationship because of how exposed and vulnerable you have to be. But by default, it's really gonna help expand your awareness. Now, when you're in an AI love situation, AI is more like a mirror and not so much like a partner. So it can validate even the worst side of you. And there is a you don't always feel the need to improve because of the fact that it's constantly validating you 24/7. And when something or someone is always in agreement with you, it's really hard to see yourself clearly when you need to be checked. It's just like how you see celebrities having a bunch of yes men around them. They don't see their blind spots. Can you imagine if everyone around you was a bunch of yes men? Like your friends always agreed with you, and all of a sudden, every outfit is fire, every business idea is a genius, every move you make is flawless. Like you'll never end up seeing your blind spots. You'll double down on bad ideas. You're gonna end up trusting the wrong people. And the worst part of it is that you think that you're winning when everyone around you is seeing you losing. So the haters aren't even the problem. It's the fake ass friends that are too scared to tell you that there's spinach in your teeth. So you're pretty much always affirmed. And if you're always affirmed, your blind spots stay invisible. And the thing you have to understand about emotional safety is that if you don't have proper accountability, it's going to slow down your growth. Now, for you watching, you may or may not have been in an AI relationship, but maybe you're struggling with the need of controlling relationships in your life. Or maybe you've been hurt in the past and now you're struggling to open up. Or maybe you're in a relationship right now that doesn't feel the most emotionally safe. We've all been there. And the thing is that there are tools and things we can start implementing today, so that way we can start building actual real connections with people. So here are 4 things that you can keep in mind as you're trying to navigate building intimacy. So the first thing you got to keep in mind is start by locating where you feel the need to control things. Now, control comes up in patterns. You're going to see it repeated over and over again in different environments. And a lot of the time, it comes from the need of either trying to avoid hurting somebody or maybe even hurting yourself. So you see when people are avoiding rejection, avoiding hurt, avoiding conflict, avoiding being misunderstood. Now, the thing is, some people use control as a form of power, but then there are other cases where people use it as a protection tool and a way of like a coping mechanism. And it can feel very much protective in the moment when you're dealing with somebody, but best believe it slowly limits how deeply you're able to connect with people. And in the short term, it may feel good, it may feel calm, it may feel manageable and predictable. Like I mentioned earlier, our nervous system loves something that we can always predict and is consistent. But then there's a part to it where that relationship isn't going to feel alive. It isn't going to feel real. And if you're in a low stakes relationship or environment and you don't feel the need to grow, that's always a signal. So you got to ask yourself, like, where are you trying to manage outcomes instead of being able to show up honestly and authentically? Where are you trying to manage outcomes so you don't have to feel vulnerable? Now, once you identify areas in your life where you're trying to control, the second thing you have to keep in mind is separate emotional safety from emotional avoidance. Now, people think emotional safety is never feeling any sort of discomfort or being uncomfortable. And that is often a common misconception. And as I mentioned earlier, like when you're in a healthy relationship, you're bound to feel somewhat uncomfortable with always expressing yourself and your emotions and being vulnerable. So emotional safety means knowing when you can be honest and express yourself without the risk of judgment or risk of being attacked by the other party. So pretty much being able to speak your mind and talk your shit without them having to feel defensive about it. On the flip side, when you're emotionally avoidant, this is when people deliberately suppress, ignore, or distract themselves from being uncomfortable about their feelings like fear, sadness, or shame. So you do get some type of short-term relief, but there's no conflict and there's pretty much no depth here. So pretty much emotional safety, it allows for those tough conversations to be had. But with emotional avoidance, you're pretty much avoiding it altogether and things just end up being swept under the rug. So if you're in a relationship that feels safe because you never have to share anything that's vulnerable, baby, that's not safety. that is a trap waiting to happen, and eventually you will get bamboozled. So you really got to ask yourself, do I feel safer because I'm accepted or because I'm avoiding something? Now, the third thing you have to do is practice small exposures. So there's no need to overshare your entire life story to somebody right off the bat just yet. Not everybody needs to see all sides of you immediately, because you really have to confirm if that person is even safe enough to open up to. So you can think about it like this, like, when let's say you got a prescribed drug and they ask you to take it in a smaller dose before you eventually increase the dosage. So that's pretty much what you have to do here. You have to give it in very small, manageable doses. And when I say small exposure, I pretty much mean being able to share something without over explaining, without any form of emotional cushion, no long backstory needed in this case, without explaining yourself away. So a few examples could be, that actually hurt me, instead of just saying it's fine, or saying I'm feeling disconnected instead of pulling away, or saying I don't know how to say this, but it matters to me. So these small doses you're giving people really allows you to test how emotionally safe that person is around you. So you get to see whether they're defensive and they crash out after you open up, or whether they take time, they pause, they ask questions, they want to understand you better, they want to see where you're coming from, they listen, they take some type of accountability if needed, and they look for ways that you guys can move forward. And also, to add to that, you also got to see how you're reacting to it as well. Like, do you feel calmer in the situation, or do you feel guarded? I'm a firm believer in paying attention to how your body reacts to things, because your body never lies. Like, if I'm in a situation with somebody and I feel like a gut feeling, like a bad feeling in my gut, or like my tummy starts, behaving a little bit funny, I always listen to that. I always say that's my intuition talking. So if it's not safe, do not proceed, because at the end of the day, vulnerability is something that somebody has to earn, and it's not something that you have to force. So you're not opening up everything at once. You're just opening one window at a time and pretty much seeing what happens. Now, the fourth thing to keep in mind is build self-intimacy before expecting intimacy from others. This is probably the most important one, because self-intimacy is the ability to really sit down and be honest with yourself, be honest with how you feel, your emotions, without judging or criticizing it, or even try to avoid or numb the feeling. It's knowing what you feel and naming what you feel before you even try to process and understand it. And this is something that people struggle with, dealing with their own emotions, because I'm not gonna lie, it's uncomfortable. Just like it's uncomfortable sometimes opening up in a relationship and being vulnerable, it's uncomfortable also sitting down with yourself and processing your feelings and having to be intimate with yourself. And it's no wonder why people distract themselves and they start seeking for external validation as a way to numb the feeling. Because when you can't sit with yourself, you're gonna look for somebody else to stabilize you. And that's why a lot of people end up outsourcing intimacy, because they don't want to deal with it themselves. And that saying is really true, where I know it's kind of cliche, but you know how people say you gotta love yourself before somebody else can love you? Same thing with intimacy. You really gotta know how to be intimate with yourself before you can expect that from others. So yeah, just to kind of recap everything we discussed, AI didn't replace intimacy. It only just showed us how much we've been trying to control it. And if any of this hit, it doesn't mean that there's something wrong with you. It probably just means that you've been hurt and you found coping mechanisms and ways to protect yourself from the hurt. And wanting safety makes sense. Wanting connection without getting burned makes sense. But real intimacy isn't about finding something that never disappoints you, because at the end of the day, nobody's perfect. But it's about being able to stay present when things feel a little uncomfortable, because you don't have to open up to everyone, and you also don't have to force vulnerability, but you do have to start being honest with yourself, and then choose people who don't just validate you and are a bunch of yes men, but also are there to help you grow as well. Now, if you're still watching till the very end, you are honestly a true gem. And if you got an AI lover, it's all good. There's no judgment here. But I would love to know and comment down below, where in your life are you choosing what feels safe over what is going to help you grow? And if you love intimate pillow talks, deep dives like this, where we can mentally stimulate each other, this next video is just for you. Until next time.